Welcome back to another part of Talking Towns Meet the Opposition. Today I am joined by Alex, who is a Peterborough United fan. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to chatting all things League One again.
Yeah, it's you're back after a season away from us. Obviously, you had quite a good end to the season under Grant McCann. But it's a little bit too late, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was too little, too late. Sadly, we made the managerial decision way too late in the season, and that ultimately cost us our time in the Championship. Short and sweet, I think they call it. We like going back. You know, we've had Fergie a few times, McCann now into his second spell. I think at the time it was so obvious that it was going to happen. As soon as Fergie left, we just knew it'd be Grant McCann coming back. At the time, I was a little bit underwhelmed, and I felt like it was just a classic sort of doing what we already know rather than trying to do something different. But you know, in League One, like you say, his record, you can't really deny it. So, and also the end of last season, I thought we upped our game massively. So he's definitely started well. It'll be a big season. He'll be criticised heavily by posh fans. We know that for sure. So, yeah, big season, important season. But I think overall, I think a lot of fans, myself included, are now a bit more content with the decision, and we're excited to see what he can do at this level after what he did with Hull. We've not really lost anyone that we didn't want to lose, which is unique for posh. You know, usually we have one big summer or winter sale. Obviously, Dembele went in January, which was probably that. There's talk of Ronnie Edwards obviously leaving for maybe the Premier League, which we.
He's the one. He's the one who Dara says is going to. Because I listened to Dara's podcast. If you don't listen to it out there, guys, please do. It's a very, very good pod. And he's the one. He's on about Ronnie Edwards. What sort of player is he, and where do you think he could go? And how much more importantly would he go for?
Well, he's just everything you want in a modern day centre back. You know, it's long gone of the days of finding Rosette, sort of Gabriel Zakuani-esque. It's now comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's happy to take on some players. He's happy to wait a little bit longer just to find the right pass rather than rush around with it. He's a proper composed centre back, especially for his age. I really wouldn't be surprised if he's top tier Premier League one day. Obviously, he needs to get the next move right for his career. He doesn't want to go and then sit on the bench somewhere or not play many minutes. So the next move will be crucial for him. Where that is, I don't know. And how much he goes for, honestly, I don't know. I think a lot of posh fans have said around 5 million they want for him, which, you know, we've got a good track record of getting a lot of money.
Never sell anybody cheap.
Exactly that, yeah. Exactly that. We've got a great track record of getting big bucks for our players, usually strikers. So this will be one of the first real big money centre-back sales. But, yeah, you're looking at a fair few million, and I think it will be either high-end Championship or low-end Premier League for now. And then, who knows where he could end up.
So players coming in. I know you've signed a couple of loan goalkeepers, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a concerning point for a lot of posh fans, myself included. The goalkeeper situation was dire straits last season.
I'll just ask you a question. We had Di Cornell at town, and I remember when we signed him, Martin done an interview with a Northampton fan, and literally he said he's crap. So we had him, and he played a few games for us. It wasn't great, and then he obviously he picked up a move to the Championship, unbelievably. And I think he's also has he gone to Preston now? Is it? I think
Preston now, yeah. So I don't know who he's.
But what was he like?
He was okay. He was never signed to be our first choice, but then the Christy Pym drama unfolded, and Cornell had to come in. He's not a Championship goalkeeper by any means, and ultimately that is one of the big parts of why we got relegated. You know, our goalkeeping situation was poor. This summer we've obviously addressed it because again, Pym's gone, Cornell's obviously gone, and we've loaned in 2 youngsters, one from Hull, one from Chelsea. I feel with goalkeepers, it's a risk to go so young for both of them. I feel like you want that experienced person in between the sticks. Is that
a concern for you, the goalkeeper position? I know I think it is. Young lads, are they going to fight it out between themselves and sort of, or is there a number one already that they've played in pre-season?
Well, they've both had equal minutes, really. From what I've seen, it's it's tricky because you loan 2 goalkeepers. It seems a bit like, well, why have we loaned 2? Surely they're going to both want to be minutes. Surely Chelsea and Hull want their goalkeeper to have minutes. And yeah, one's 20, one's 19. So there's very little first team senior experience there. And, you know, the goalkeeper is such a crucial role, like we found out last season. So yes, I'm happy that we've obviously got 2 goalkeepers come in, but myself and a lot of fans included won't know too much about them and whether they're good enough, and ultimately whether they've got enough experience to play senior football all season. So that is a concern. We've signed obviously a couple of midfielders, which one from I think Millwall was Ben Thompson's last club.
He was on loan at Gillingham last season. Yes, I rated him, and I've got a mate who's a Millwall fan. He said, "Look, you should jump in for him." And I thought, done well for Gillingham.
Yeah,
I think he's probably. He could probably play. He's played in the Championship, obviously for Millwall, but I think that's a really good signing for you.
Yeah, I first saw him. I went to the Luton game earlier in the week, and he was the standout. You know, he looked really impressive on the ball. He looked like a little warrior in the centre of the park, which is exactly what you want in League One. So he'll be a fan favourite, I think, with his energy rates. We've got another CDM from Leyton Orient, and then we've got a wide player from Sutton as well. So they've not been marquee signings by any means. I think any posh fan who said, "Oh yeah, I've followed him for ages," would be lying. I think it's a bit of the unknown, which is what Peterborough United do. You know, we're so good at finding gems from non-league or from lower league teams, but our squad as a whole is looking pretty stacked in terms of numbers in positions. You know, we've added players where we're already pretty well equipped. So I'm not sure what the plan is for them. Whether they'll get a lot of first team minutes, I don't know, but that's what the club wanted. They got the deals done early, and you can't really complain with that.
But you kept hold of Clark Harris, and I see they've made him captain.
Yeah, captaincy is.
I think you'd expect him. What did he get? 30 plus for you last time you're down this. He knows the league. I think he didn't come back, did he, in great shape? I think at the start of last season, I think he partied a little bit too hard. But I think you've done well to hold on to. I see Watford, they were rumoured to be in for him. Sammy Smodick's another good player. You know, we've got there, was obviously down the road at Colchester for Town. I still don't know why we didn't try and sign him, because I think he's a really good player, and I think you've got goals in you. You always score goals in League One, don't you?
That's exactly it. We've got you haven't even mentioned Jack Marriott yet, who is just an absolute
finisher. Played for Town. He had injury problems, didn't he? Got a bad injury last season for you, but he's back, and he'll get plenty of goals in League One.
That's the thing. Yeah, he picked up a bad injury early on, but then he came back near the end of the season, and he just proved that, you know, you don't need to give him many chances and he'll finish. Whether he starts a lot, I don't know. I think we'll go one up top, really, with Johnson Clark Harris being that man. But to have Jack Marriott waiting in the wings is pretty strong. So yeah, Clark Harris and Marriott, you'll struggle to find a better partnership in League One, I think that's for sure. And like you say, Johnson hit over 30 last time around. He came back a little bit out of shape in the Championship, and it took him some time to get going. But, you know, like you say, we've fended off interest. I think Sunderland were really keen on him, but it seems like he's staying, and now he's got the captain's armband. I'm sure that's an extra motivation for him to get us back into the Championship first time of asking. Yeah, I mean, I think it's got to be the classic posh way, like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, goals. You know, we just didn't have goals last season, which was a real concern. I know obviously the step up is massive from the Championship, from League One, to the Championship. But we just didn't score many goals, and it's always been the posh way to win about 5-2, or like you mentioned, 7-1 or 6-3. You know, we can see goals.
Not 7-1 again, please. We do not want to.
Lee Tomlin, I think Lee Tomlin had an absolute worldie that day.
I think we were 1-0 up in that game, if I remember, but we did finish with 9 men.
Yes, there was a couple of red cards, I do remember. Yeah, it was a cracking game. But it was. I think, we've just got to get that excitement back and get that free-flowing attacking football back at London Road, which, again, we couldn't do last year. Maybe the quality was too much for us, which we just couldn't compete in. But yeah, I think that will be the mantra for Peterborough this season: just excitement, fast football, goals galore, attacking. And I think we can do that in League One, because I do believe we are one of the better teams in the division. So I think a lot of the time we'll go into games being favourite, which obviously wasn't the case last year. I mean, away from home was just miserable after miserable after miserable every away game we went to, pretty much. So.
Did you lose something like 10 away games on the spin?
Yeah, it would have been something like that. Yeah, it took us a long time to get anything from away from home. I think our first positive result was Hull, actually, when Grant
Well,
McCann was in
what
charge.
you were saying there, Alex, though, that the step up to the Championship is massive.
Oh, it's massive now. And there's so much money now in the Championship, which obviously Peterborough United just don't have. But yeah, the teams that are in that division, you now look at like Watford, Norwich and Burnley are now in that division. It's just, we're not going to compete with teams like that. And we're not even going to compete with the teams that are mid-table now, you know, your Birmingham's and QPRs and stuff like that. It's just, it's such a big step up in class. And even though I look at the League One table this year and I think, geez, there's a lot of big clubs that have just been in this division for too long or just can't get out. I mean, yourselves included, but then you've Charlton, Portsmouth and Sheffield Wednesday. Now we've got Derby in there. Bolton are on their way back. There's just so many clubs in this division that are going to be feeling confident to challenge at the top. And hopefully we'll be one of them with our fast-paced attacking football.
You've got a bit of safe standing now in the London Road terraces, I see.
I
see the picture. Is there still going to be a block of terraces in the corner? Are they leaving that as terrace?
I don't know if they're doing it all and just haven't finished yet. I don't know what the plan is, but I went to the Luton game and it just looks weird. It looks so odd because we're known for having like the away. Well, it used to be the away end as well. We used to stand up, but we obviously got that sorted. And now, I think there's a lot of disgruntled posh fans that stand behind that goal that will be, quite annoyed that they're getting safe standing there now. But I don't know whether the plan is to do it all or, like you say, leave bits at the end. But it looks weird.
You were saying about the fans a bit disappointed. You were rumoured to be having a new stadium. What are the plans for that?
Still going ahead from what I know. There's been, obviously, as there always is with council stuff, there's been back and forth trying to get it sorted. But by all means, from what we hear from the club, it's going in the right direction. And in a few years' time, they'll be in a new ground, not too far from the current one. But I think the plan is, from the club's perspective, they want to get in a bigger stadium, a new modern stadium, and not really for our attendance because we don't sell out, we get nowhere near sell out. But just so the club can host events and gigs and stuff like that, and just make more money, really. Which I won't begrudge them for that. Cheltenham, that's a come down.
Cheltenham, if there's any Cheltenham fans watching.
No, that is a come down from the Championship to Cheltenham, and then I think Morecambe at home. It's just, welcome back to League One, isn't it? I don't want to be disrespectful to them. Of course, we're at the same level, we're in the same league, but when you go from playing, the Championship teams to then Cheltenham and Morecambe, it certainly does let you know you're back in League One.
Cheltenham away, Morecambe at home, and then we'll skip the Plymouth Cup game because you go to Plymouth again on the Saturday. So that's a lovely little 2 trips in a week to Plymouth. Then you've got a big game, Sheffield Wednesday, and then you've got Lincoln. So 3 out your first 5 are at home. How many points realistically would you take, or would you say that you will get from them first 5 games?
I think, listen, you've got to go into home games thinking you're going to win them. I think if you want to be up near the top of the table. Sheffield Wednesday obviously will be one team up there. So if we draw that game, I'm not too fussed. I think looking at them, 7. I think you're looking at a minimum of 10 you want. I think Plymouth away will be tough. I think Cheltenham at home and Cheltenham away, and Morecambe at home. We should be looking at winning both of those games.
Agreed.
Sheffield Wednesday, like I said, if we had a point, I wouldn't be too disappointed with that. But again, at home, you'd want to be on the front foot and try and get all 3 points. And then same for Lincoln at home. Lincoln have been a team that have either been really good or really, really poor. So you don't know what Lincoln you'll get, but again, when you want to be pushing for promotion, those home games, you've got to be thinking, we can beat anyone at home. So 10 points
as well with Lincoln, is it? Because that's the game when you got promoted, wasn't it?
Yes, the last minute penalty, which never should have been a penalty, which was
we can gloss over that because you look in history books, you won 3-2.
It was such a good day. I mean, I went to because obviously it's behind closed doors, and we played Doncaster in the week, and if we won that game, we would have gone up. We went 2-0 up. Me and my dad immediately drove down.
Was that the one where they were letting fireworks off outside the ground?
Yeah. And then we got blamed for costing them the win because we were setting off fireworks and stuff. And then obviously, a few days later, Lincoln, we went 2-0 down, and you think, oh, here we go. This is going to be painful. But then somehow, it's just an unbelievable turnaround and an unbelievable day. So it's just a shame that we weren't there in attendance to be able to watch it, really. But yeah, it's good memories.
So what are you going to do? Put your neck on the line here. 15 points available.
15. I will go. I'll go 10. I think I'll go 10. I think we'll win the first two, and then I'll go. Might drop points, maybe lose Plymouth, draw Sheffield Wednesday, beat Lincoln. I think you've got to, if we're outside the playoffs, it'll be a poor season. Like I said earlier, there are a lot of good teams in this league now, so we can't take. And you said earlier, you can't take anything for granted. You know, we're all in this level for a reason, but we've got to be aiming for playoffs. I think there's a lot of strong teams that probably will nip us to automatics. Sheffield Wednesday, I think, will be up there. I think I say Port every time.
Derby, Alex. What do you think about Derby? Because they've made a lot of signings. They'll still make a lot more. We had a guy from the Rams podcast on here, and he probably thinks they've signed 12, and he thinks they probably need another 10 to 12 players to sort of fill out that squad. So, what do you think where they're going to finish?
It's one of those where they'll either absolutely walk the league because of their signings, or they'll just struggle to gel and they'll finish nowhere relevant. It's a tricky situation for them as a club, isn't it? It was weird because I was almost rooting for them in the Championship to stay up, but also not, because it could have come at our expense. So it was a weird feeling, because what they did was fantastic, and I think Wayne Rooney did brilliantly, and I think Derby as a club were brilliant throughout the whole season. But yeah, it's one of those where I could either see them, you know, being in the top two because of the signings they're making, or just failing to gel and more off-field scandals causing issues. And so yeah, that's a real hard one to predict, but they're certainly going to be entertaining, that's for sure, for one reason or another. But yeah, I think if I had to predict, I'd say we'll be playoffs. I think there'll be a couple of teams stronger than us over the course of the season, but I've got to say playoffs.
Will one of them teams be us?
I don't think so. No, I think you. It's so tricky because there's so many teams. Like every time I'm in League One, I say Portsmouth are going to be up there, and then they're usually there or thereabouts, but they sometimes fall away as well. You've obviously, like you say, you've got the unknown of Derby, you've got Barnsley, you've got, you know, there's so many teams. Sheffield Wednesday, Bolton now back in the division. Yeah, there are so many teams, and then there's always one or two teams that you have no idea we're going to do well, and they do well.